This is the story about how I became the largest LimeWire spammer in the world. Long before the days where I wrote dirty children's books, I was a spammer. LimeWire was the infamous peer-to-peer file sharing application. Think of it as a flea market or a swap meet for digital files. People would trade everything on this website, from music files to TV shows, feature-length movies, and of course, that one piece of content that built the internet, porn. In the early 2000s, if you went to some of the most popular download sites on the internet, the most commonly downloaded piece of software was LimeWire. In those days, the internet was not like it is today. It was an unregulated, wild, wild west. You could basically do whatever you wanted because there were no laws, no regulations, no rules had been set. So LimeWire was a very prolific app because it allowed people to steal things that they would normally have to pay for. But it wasn't really theft, was it? It was just trading files. You can debate that in the comments, I guess. When I saw how many people were using and downloading LimeWire, I realized there was a lot of traffic to be had from this exchange of files if I could figure out how to tap it. And so that's what I did. You may not know this about me, but I'm a coder. I can actually write software. I just don't do it anymore because I enjoy being a comedian. After doing a little bit of digging, I found out that LimeWire not only was the most popular piece of software, it was also open source. That means you can download it and see the code and make your own version of LimeWire to do whatever you want. So the first thing I did was make my own version of LimeWire that acted like thousands of versions of LimeWire all at once by hyperconnecting using really high-speed internet connections. The second challenge was coming up with file types that I could actually use for spam. I mean, it's not like I could just make you download an MP3 and put a radio ad on it. Although I tried that, it didn't work. What I did find was a nice little exploit in the QuickTime application that was available for Mac and Windows. This allowed you to play .mov files, which is probably one of the most popular formats today. I think Apple envisioned QuickTime to be this multimedia application that could allow you to run all kinds of things inside your MOV files, like banner ads, and have clickable links that go to websites and pop-ups and all kinds of other cool things. So after a lot of tinkering in the lab, I discovered that I could give you a QuickTime file that when you opened it, immediately popped different ads to different websites. This was step one. Step two was figuring out how to get as many files as I possibly could with the keywords that you were searching for into my servers. Turns out it was easier than I thought. I just wrote a little script that took the incoming search, whatever term you were searching for, and made the file name with .mov on it and presented it to you as a result, while simultaneously making sure that that file was available from multiple servers that were owned by me. That way, it looked like a good file, because the way LimeWire worked was the more people that had a copy of the file, the better quality perception you would have about that file. So I set everything up in my office one Friday afternoon and left it running all weekend. When I came back on Monday morning, I had discovered tens of thousands of people had downloaded my files and watched my pop-up ads, and some of them bought through the affiliate links that I popped up. I'm a big believer in, if I can make $1 with a little bit of effort, I'll put everything I can into that same method so that I can make millions of dollars. This was a really fun time because you just had no rules. Like there was no way for me to get in trouble doing this. LimeWire was running their software so that people could do illegal things, which is download media files they weren't supposed to download. Nobody really could complain to anybody if they got a bunch of pop-up ads from a file they downloaded. It was the perfect situation for someone like me who has zero morals. Within about 6 months, I was showing 500,000 to 1 million pop-up ads a day, and I had over 100 servers across the globe running my special copy of LimeWire. Eventually, I built a company with a partner and started selling these advertisements to the highest bidder. The funny thing was, up until several years later, LimeWire really couldn't do anything about me and my dirty files. In fact, a funny story is one time I was in New York City at a P2P conference, and I was having lunch, and everybody, it was one of these business conferences where they kind of try and make you have lunch with random people, and they set up catering and you go sit at random tables with people. And I wound up sitting at the table with the chief technology officer from LimeWire. And I asked him, "What do you do?" And he said, "Oh, I do technology for LimeWire. What do you do?" And I said, "I'm the biggest spammer on your network." And he laughed, thinking I was joking. And I laughed, and he laughed, and I laughed. But I was telling the truth. This little hack business that I built ended up making me millions of dollars, and millions of dollars for my advertisers. It was a win-win scenario. Everybody was happy, except LimeWire and its users, of course. But that's the funny thing about pop-up ads. I only need 1 in 2 or 1 in 3,000 people to buy something for it to work. So even though lots of people hated it, there was always somebody buying something. And what did I sell? The only 3 Ps that made money on the internet back then: porn, poker, and pills, and sometimes dating. A lot of people got annoyed, called me a dirty spammer, tried to compete with me but couldn't figure out what I was doing, so they just went back to calling me a dirty spammer. It's kind of like what I do now if I think about it. I have a high tolerance for abuse. So when I was the biggest spammer on the internet and people were calling me a dirty spammer, websites like slate.com and other websites were covering what I was doing and literally just calling me out for what it was. I was a spammer. I knew it. They knew it. Whatever. But if I think about it now, I write children's books for adults, and a small percentage of people think that I'm actually targeting children with these books. So every single day of my life, I get called a pedophile, but I got a lot of practice from being a spammer. I can take it. You want to call me a pedophile? That's cool. Fact of the matter is, I sell a shit ton of books. I can put up with getting called a pedophile. Eventually, I graduated from movie files to executable files. So you might think you're downloading a pirated copy of Photoshop, but then you're going to install a toolbar that changes all your bookmarks and your homepage on your browser. That was me. I got paid $1.50 every time you did that. So I probably caused you hours and hours of pain trying to uninstall that toolbar. But it was your fault because you tried to download a stolen copy of Photoshop. There were no laws that said I couldn't do this. Nobody had any control over what was going on LimeWire. It was the most unregulated black market in the world at the time. And the people who hated LimeWire the most were the Recording Industry Association of America and the Motion Picture Association of America. These 2 organizations loved what I was doing because I was polluting the place where their legitimate files were being swapped, and I was making it a not nice experience. So they didn't have a problem with me either. They were trying to shut down LimeWire, but they weren't trying to shut me down. They were happy with me. I actually met with major record company executives because they wanted to figure out how to tap my technology to make it even harder for people to swap files. I felt no guilt about this at the time, and I still don't, because if you really thought you were downloading a video of Britney Spears getting naked and wound up watching some pop-up ads, so be it. Who cares? Nobody got hurt, but my bank account got fat. This business was lucrative right up until about 2008. That's when the people at LimeWire, in their wisdom, made a big change to their software, and it ended up causing their demise. LimeWire figured out how to block the IP addresses of all the spammers, especially me. In fact, when they released their update, their programmers put a note in one of the text files directly to me saying, "This is it for you. We figured out how to block you. You're done." And they even referenced my company name. I'm telling you this story because I see a lot of people talking about LimeWire these days, and it makes me think of this story. And I guess I'm kind of proud of it, because not only did I make a lot of money spamming every single person who used LimeWire, but it taught me a lesson in resilience and allowed me to do what I do today and put up with the hecklers and the abuse and the just mean people that show up in my YouTube comments. I'll see you down below. I know who you are. I read them all. It's cute how invested you are in hating me. If you're one of the people who I caused a great inconvenience to through my malicious software installations or excessive pop-up ads, my message to you is simple. Thank you for the money. I spent it on frivolous things like the toys behind me. Sorry, not sorry? Is that what the kids say these days? The problem with LimeWire is once they took control of their network to block spammers, they were no longer able to claim that they had no control over piracy. If you can stop spammers, you can stop piracy. Eventually, LimeWire was shut down, and so was my lucrative spamming business. But I knew it wouldn't last. I woke up every morning expecting it to be gone. And so when it was, no big deal. Some people have asked me if I had it to do all over again, would I do it again? And the answer is absolutely yes. I would have done it 10 times larger than I did it right from the get-go, knowing what I know now. Even though it was only about a 5 or 6 year window, it was worth every minute of my time, spamming you with pop-up ads for things you didn't think you wanted until you saw that dating site with hot single moms in your area. My name is Brad Goss. Thanks for watching.